ICE will be able to access the personal data of the nation's 79 million Medicaid enrollees. This is according to an agreement signed this week between Medicare and the Department of Homeland Security. The information, including home addresses and ethnicity, will allow ICE to track down undocumented immigrants.
So do you disagree with the cuts that are being proposed for Medicaid right now?
Oh, the cuts to, this is I don't know if you understand this or whether you're just mouthing, the Democratic talking points. Because of DOGE, we were able to determine that there are 1 million people who are claiming Medicaid from multiple states. That's illegal. It's theft. You're not allowed to do that. There are another 1 million people who are collecting both under Obamacare and
Secretary, that has nothing to do with the budget that's
actually being proposed in the House. These are the only cuts that are being made to Medicaid.
That's not true.
Yes, it is. There are another 1 million illegal aliens. We announced a law yesterday, a rule yesterday, we're not going to pay illegal aliens anymore. And guess what Gavin Newsom did this morning? He said we're going to take all the illegal aliens off the California Medicaid rolls because the feds aren't paying for them anymore.
So this week, we saw ICE both produce pretty tangible results and incite a ton of panic within left-wing circles after they invented a new avenue of enforcement, which is apparently the cracking down on fraud against our system, which, of course, let's not forget, we were told vehemently by Democrats is not happening. You think back to the original debate over the big, beautiful bill and the reforms of Medicaid and SNAP, and Democrats adamantly insisted to us that illegal aliens are not receiving government benefits. They're ineligible. It's just a grand conspiracy theory. Well, then surely in that case, the fact that this week we saw ICE be granted access to Medicaid data, which would, of course, allow them to track down illegal aliens using the address on their welfare checks, that there shouldn't be a problem, right? Surely they should find nothing. After all, illegal aliens are ineligible for Medicaid and SNAP. So we've been told, yet the exact opposite, apparently, according to a Democrat politician herself, is happening after illegal aliens, it turns out, are receiving these benefits. Yeah, gee, who knew? We also saw on the fraud front a massive arrest take place this week after immigration fraud schemes are further being busted. Apparently, you also saw a Jussie Smollett-style kidnapping hoax against ICE that once again resulted in arrests and charges because, yes, there's a ton of people trying to drum this stuff up. And this all comes at the same exact backdrop that the deterrence efforts, to an extent, right, maybe looking tough efforts are working for the Trump administration because Stephen Miller is also celebrating a massive number of illegal alien self-deportations. Yeah, gee, you don't say. When you create a system in this country that de-incentivizes illegal immigration and not incentivizes it, that of course does what? Decreases illegal immigration, which is a trend both seen in self-deportations and the huge drop of people even trying to come to the southern border. And so with that said, guys, we'll tell you all about these details in today's video, some massive wins this week and a lot of hysteria. So with that said, guys, as usual, do us a favor. If you enjoy our content, make sure you hit that like button down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Subscribing is not only the best way to support our videos, but it also ensures that you can stay up to date with all of the latest news and coverage. And with that said, so of course, you see the headline, right? ICE being granted access to Medicaid data. Medicaid and SNAP are the two things, again, under the big, beautiful bill that have been reformed. Well, again, surely to the Democrats, this should not be an issue. But we had Representative Pramila Jayapal, this individual that might seem familiar right here on your screen just this week, accidentally admit that illegal aliens are indeed receiving taxpayer-funded SNAP benefits, right? And interest here, just take a listen here to this clip yourself because it tells you everything you need to know. She's saying, oh, it's just even the legal immigrants are doing this. Oh, but some also illegals are also receiving SNAP. Wait, what? I thought this was impossible. Take a listen for yourself.
Yesterday, I was at a food bank in my district talking about the SNAP cuts, the horrible SNAP cuts and Medicaid cuts. And they told me that people are not even showing up to Head Start where they get their food. They're not showing up to the food banks because they're afraid. And it's not just undocumented immigrants. It is people of all legal statuses. It's undocumented immigrants who have been here for 20 years.
Whoa, wait, hold on. A little Freudian slip there, right? Undocumented immigrants, in her words, that have been here for 20 years. You know what that means? illegal aliens, the very illegal aliens you told us were not eligible. Oh, they've been here 20 years. They're still illegals. You were told, we promised here, surely, right? There are not people illegally in this country receiving welfare benefits. According to the Democrats themselves, they are finally now apparently admitting that is indeed the case. Now, with that in mind, so, that's just one front of, yes, we were right about this. And by the way, considering, again, Medicaid and SNAP very often are distributed on Medicaid especially, is distributed on a state-by-state basis, yes, these types of things can indeed happen. Now, with that said, I want to show you another instance of a fraud bust this week. Apparently, a Subway owner of a Subway, sandwich store in Louisiana this week, got arrested by the feds for immigration fraud after, notice how this type of stuff works, right? Getting hundreds of Indian nationals their visas in a decades-long scheme, essentially by lying to the government about it. This is a situation where he was apparently paying police officers $5,000 a pop to create fake reports of armed robbery in order for individuals to qualify for the special U visas, right? This is a special visa you can get if you were the victim of a crime. And he would then be reimbursed once the visas were issued. So this is, of course, crazy. But again, we're told that, people are not abusing our system at all whatsoever. It turns out, no, it's happening massively. And when you crack down on it, you can see results. Take a listen.
Multiple police officials and a businessman were arrested accused of running an immigration fraud scheme.
Investigators say that scheme led to hundreds of foreign nationals illegally getting visas. News 2's Alexis Maroney breaks down how this case is unfolding.
Investigators say they don't want the public's trust to waver. Instead, they say the arrest should show their dedication to statewide transparency. Last summer, investigators started tracking what seemed like a high number of armed robberies.
I've never seen anything quite like this.
Many of the victims listed were not from Louisiana.
In fact, the armed robberies never took place, and those listed in the applications were never victims of crime.
According to arrest documents, for 10 years, false police reports were being made by this group of police officials. Oakdale Police Chief Chad Doyle, Marshal Mike Slaney, Forest Hill Police Chief Glenn Dixon, and former Glenmora Police Chief Tebow Onishia.
99.9% of law enforcement is good. We do a great job. We go there and work every day. We get up. We do what we're supposed to do. For whatever reason, the lure of money or whatever it is that leads them to do the wrong thing, don't do it.
Again, you mean to tell me that people are abusing our immigration system? Yeah, newsflash. What's to be the surprise there, right? Think back, for instance, to the debate over asylum seekers that even predates Joe Biden's presidency, where people show up to the border based on no valid claim for asylum, and they scream, hey, I'm requesting asylum, you have to release me into America. They never show up for the court date. We know exactly what is going on there, right? But how does the left frame this? They say, you're deporting asylum seekers. People are legally allowed to do it. Don't you know, right? Same thing here. You're deporting, you're going after the victims of crimes. Oh, they're lying about it. Oh, it's a total fraud. Yeah, gee, you don't say. It shouldn't be surprising to anyone. So I just see this as just yet another example of this long-running pattern, but take a listen to some more details here.
Fake reports were used by foreign nationals to apply for U visas, a type of visa reserved for victims of crimes. In this case, crimes that never happened.
False visas can facilitate illegal activities in the United States, including financial crime, crimes of violence, narcotics, human trafficking, etc.
The indictment says the owner of a Subway in Oakdale, Chandrakant Patel, paid the officers $5,000 for each false report.
We expect law enforcement officers to protect the public and to honor their trust, not to sell that trust and the honor of their badges for personal gain.
After collecting years of evidence, investigators made 2 arrests at the Crowne Plaza Hotel while they were attending a police chief's conference. The group is facing dozens of counts, including mail fraud, money laundering, and conspiracy to commit visa fraud, and more charges are possible. Court dates for the individuals have not been set just yet, but I'm being told court appearances will happen in Alexandria. In the newsroom, Alexis Maroney, WBRZ News 2.
And, I think this is the maybe first notable case of a pattern I think also has to be heavily cracked down upon, which is the business owner's role in facilitating basically, this is actually, visa fraud is a form of illegal immigration, right? Because you're lying to the government. That's illegal. You're not actually eligible for the visas being intended here. Because very often, when you see these massive work site raids of they raided some construction site or some farm, and there's 250 illegal aliens working there, and they basically all get rounded up and deported. You have to understand that, yes, to some degree, people can lie. And I'm not saying every single business who's employing a single illegal immigrant is doing so knowingly. Obviously the illegal themselves can, commit visa fraud, those types of things. But it's also worth noting here, right, that very often the business owner does indeed know, right? This is a knowing thing they do. And largely, why do businesses like illegal immigrants in terms of workers as compared to Americans is not even necessarily because they work harder or better or whatever it is. It is because they're essentially indentured servitude, right? You can basically pay them sometimes even below minimum wage. Hey, they're not going to question it, right? And they have to basically do whatever you say, work as long as you want. It's almost a form of slavery, because if they say no, you can easily call ICE on them. And so it's worth noting that many businesses knowingly hire illegal aliens. And I think to the extent where that's provable, or you see a massive pattern in them doing this over and over again, it's not just a handful, it's like the whole business, then in that case, I think the business owners also have to face penalties. They have to be, frankly, prosecuted for doing so, because guess what? If you want to stop illegal immigration, you also have to stop some of the so-called root causes, right? Remember Kamala Harris and the root causes? No, a big root cause in this country is business, big business especially, but not exclusively, right? That use this as a way to undercut, American labor market, to undercut wages and make more profit, etc. And that is not something that should be allowed. By the way, it's worth noting, right? It is, of course, a crime to knowingly hire an illegal alien to work. It's just never enforced, hard to prove. But again, this is something you absolutely have to go after. And hopefully, maybe this little instance here today sends a message to the business owners of this country. Stop doing this type of stuff, right? Because you are not exempt from the issue. Now, with that said, we, of course, have another case of an arrest being made, this time over a fake kidnapping hoax, because an illegal alien in California is now being charged for staging and framing a kidnapping in order to pretend to blame it on ICE. Apparently, this Mexican national, Julie Calderon, was pretending that she was taken by ICE in a Jack in the Box parking lot. This scheme involved a fake press conference, a fake police report, and a GoFundMe. I mean, that's quite the hustle for sure. And then she was, of course, found roaming free after convincing left-wing activists that she was in custody. DHS says she was regularly using her iPhone, although her attorney pretended like she had no ability to contact him or her family under the guise she was being held hostage. Other co-conspirators are expected to be charged as well. This is, of course, just absolutely a ridiculous story, but, go figure. A lot of the hysteria around this stuff is not even real. Yeah, go figure. Take a listen.
Migrant in California is charged with staging a fake kidnapping and blaming federal agents or people working with them. Correspondent Matt Finn reporting live on this from LA. Hi, Matt.
Hi, Martha. This woman is here illegally, a Mexican national. She goes by Julie Calderon, and the feds say she's being charged with lying to police and conspiracy for this elaborate hoax that they believe was meant to incite even more tension and also possibly make some money. Federal investigators say a key piece of evidence, photos. Calderon and her co-conspirators had pictures ready, staged to make it look like she was in custody with a dirty face, even removing her shoelaces. But the feds say there's at least one glaring error, because she would have been asked to take off the necklace in an official federal photo. The U.S. government says surveillance video helped them crack the case. The feds say this woman lied about being kidnapped by federal agents at a Jack in the Box here in L.A., taken to San Ysidro to the south, and asked to self-deport, but she refused, so she was held in a warehouse. But the feds say they caught her roaming free in the Bakersfield area, hundreds of miles north. This scheme went to extremes: a filed police report, a GoFundMe, even a press conference announcing her disappearance.
So in this very parking lot a week ago, ununiformed men in unmarked cars kidnapped Julie. And with her courage and her strength, even though we don't know where Julie is and we don't know when we will find her, Julie has managed to make 2 phone calls to the family since she's been kidnapped.
The Department of Justice says Calderon was indeed using her iPhone during her alleged disappearance, which helped them locate her. She faces a maximum of 10 years if convicted. The U.S. attorney here in L.A. says, quote, dangerous rhetoric that ICE agents are kidnapping illegal migrants is being recklessly peddled by politicians and echoed in the media to inflame the public and discredit our courageous federal agents. We do have calls into that attorney who you saw in that video who is representing this woman. And also there are also co-conspirators listed throughout this federal complaint, so we expect there may be more people charged here.
That's just crazy, utterly insane. I think my favorite part is the fake press conference. Okay, they somehow managed to invite ABC7 and Fox 11 LA, like the local news broadcasters there with they wrote fake signs, and never once did this woman or her friends or her family think, hey, they might find her just roaming around Bakersfield. Hey, you know, we definitely are not in the 21st century where we can figure out that people are just utterly lying about this type of stuff. Absolutely unbelievable. But of course, what else is to be expected? I mean, we are covering a repeated trend here where a lot of the stuff happening around illegal immigration is being clouded in, guess what? Fraud. I mean, what else is new? Now, with that said, just this week, Stephen Miller is documenting perhaps some of the recent victories that we have scored on the immigration and deportation front, including the fact that against the backdrop, again, of all the hysteria, all the criticism, all of the panic, it turns out the self-deportations are indeed working, and America is better for it. So take a listen.
Stephen Miller, is there an internment camp in the Everglades, Miller?
There is an ICE facility that provides a far superior level of housing and accommodation than is available to millions of Americans who are living in Section 8 housing and other...
Good point. Really good point.
Low-income areas of our own blighted cities, like Baltimore, like Detroit, like Chicago. How many Americans are living in abominable conditions compared to the pristine conditions of our ICE facilities and our Border Patrol facilities? Look, at every turn, illegal aliens have always been treated better than Americans. The difference is, in this administration, they're getting a ticket out of America so that we can take care of our own people. Do you have any idea how many resources will be opened up for Americans when the illegals are gone? No more waiting in line at an emergency room? No more massive traffic in Los Angeles? Your health insurance premiums go down? Your public school classroom size will shrink dramatically. They have more time to educate every student. You won't have to compete for public benefits. If you're down on your luck, you're having a hard time, and you do need to get support from the government, you're not going to be in line behind millions of illegal aliens from the third world. This is going to be such a gift to the quality of life of everyday Americans, Jesse. It's hard to even express the wonders that await for working people.
Well, I mean,
And that's the part that's missed of all of this, right? Oh, well, deporting illegal aliens will not better my life. What does that have to do with me? Everything. Okay? You look at the state of many of our major cities, as he brings up. Yes, systems are overcrowded. And by the way, government systems, schools, yes, also overcrowded, dealing with way too many people. Anyone ever get the perception that ever since COVID, like the post-COVID effect in Biden's presidency, like everything just feels more full, right? Things take longer, services run slower, traffic is increased in most of the major cities. Some of that's due to organic population growth, sure. But a lot of it is not. Right? A lot of it's not. And that's the thing. They're screaming about something that come, say, 2028, I think a lot of Americans will look around, maybe not even assign the cause directly, but say, hey, wait a minute. This country kind of got better. What happened? That's what happened.
Had me at no traffic in LA. If you guys can get that message broadcast loud and clear over there, I mean, I think you'll have a lot of those people in LA saying adios themselves. When you're hearing stories, Miller, about people self-deporting, what do we know about how many people have decided to just pack up and leave themselves?
Well, based on the labor force data, so as you know, under the Biden administration, all job growth on net since Biden came into office went to foreigners. e.g., they went to the migrants. Under Trump, all job gains have gone to Americans. Looking at labor force data, we believe there's already been 1 million self-deportations.
Wow.
So we are well on our way here. If we stay the course, Jesse, and if illegal aliens understand the consequences of staying versus the opportunities of leaving, we're going to see millions and millions more self-deportations. Because if you stay, here's the consequences. You face sudden arrest, sudden deportation, you face the potential garnishment of all of your income, all of your wages, the loss of your property, incarceration and imprisonment for immigration and other crimes. If you choose to self-deport, you can go back home. You do have the opportunity to apply for legal entry if you wish to do so in the future, and you're going to get a $1,000 check on your way out. So this is a very clear choice, and we're seeing over 1 million illegal aliens are clearly choosing just to go back to their countries. But look, at the end of the day...
And by the way, that's the grand point behind something like Alligator Alcatraz, right? People say, what is the point of that? It's performative. I said at the time, it is performative. That's the point. It's kind of theatrical. It's excessive. The point of that, the reason you do it that way is, yes, to some degree, to drum up fear. Why would you want to drum up fear? Because you want to encourage self-deportations. You want to make a clear incentive structure that not self-deporting is the objectively worse off option. And you can do so respecting, obviously, human rights, obviously the basic rights of prisoners, detainees, all that stuff. But that's the point of it, right? And clearly, there are massive reports here that type of hard-nosed approach has been effective. Because yes, guess what, right? When you coddle people, when you encourage something, you get more of that. When you discourage something, you get less of that. Same debate, by the way, this week with amnesty that we covered earlier, and people were like, you had these Republicans saying that, hell, we should do the Dignity Act. We should have a form of amnesty. I said, what do you think is going to happen? What happened in the 1980s when we did amnesty? Guess what? When you create an incentive structure that encourages something, you're stating to the world it's okay, you get more of it. You get more of it. People follow the incentive. If you have an incentive not to illegal immigrate, if you have an incentive to self-deport, then more people are going to follow that path. It really is pretty simple to understand.
What this really comes down to is this, Jesse. Who lives in your country determines what your country is, right? Haiti doesn't work as a country. It just doesn't. People have tried forever. People have spent billions of dollars trying to make Haiti work as a project. Haiti doesn't work. If you take Haiti and you move it to America, it's not going to work here. Somalia doesn't work as a country, has never worked as a country. You take Somalia out of Somalia, you put it here, it's not going to work any better. It's not about how you feel about an individual immigrant. It's about the policy at a systemic scale. If you move the third world to the first world, eventually we become the third world. And that's not good for us. It's not good for anybody who wants to live here in the future.
All right, Stephen Miller breaking it all down. Thank you so much. Good to see you. We don't have time for rules for men. We'll get to that next time. I know you got a lot.
Very true, by the way. And there you have it. With that said, guys, let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comment section down below. What do you think of the results being produced on self-deportation? Are you happy to see, right? ICE is starting to go after the fraud aspect of it, because I think that's massive. Another thing I want to see investigated, the NGOs who sponsored migration into this country under the Biden presidency, but even before that, maybe another business group there to target. But all right, with that said, guys, let me know your thoughts. Be sure to leave a like on this video, subscribe if you are new, and until next time, God bless and peace.